So you want to know the ins and outs of managing your money? Well, lucky for you, you're just in time for another episode of Master Your Finances with certified financial planner professional Kurt Baker. Kurt and his panel of experts are here for you and will cover topics from a legal and personal standpoint. They'll discuss tax efficiency, liability, owning, managing, and saving your money, and more. Master Your Finances is underwritten by Certified Wealth Management and Investment. Let's learn how we can better change our habits with Kurt Baker.
Good morning and welcome back to another edition of Master Your Finances presented by Certified Wealth Management and Investment. I am Kurt Baker, a certified financial planner professional located in Princeton, New Jersey. And I can be reached through our website, which is www.cwmi.us, or you can call me directly at 609-716-4700. This week, very pleased to have with us Daisy Newson, who is the Director of Community Relations at Ovation at Riverwalk. And she comes to Ovation with more than 20 years of experience working in senior services and volunteering with seniors. And a quote from Daisy is, "Exceptional customer service is my goal, and building great relations is essential to achieving that." She was born in New Jersey and raised in Brazil. Daisy speaks fluent Portuguese and Spanish. Growing up in a country where elders are revered, she helped her family care for grandparents and great-grandparents. Daisy has a degree in marketing and business administration and has served and volunteered for organizations including the Alzheimer's Association, Ronald McDonald House, United Way, Red Cross, and veterans groups. Daisy, I really appreciate you coming on today. I know this is very important area that we are talking about this year, especially because our seniors have been at high risk in this COVID thing. And so I know that that's been kind of an area we've been talking about it just in general, from a health perspective, from a housing perspective. And can you tell us a little bit about just your background and how, I know you told us, your family history here, but how you came to this particular job and kind of your professional experience a little bit, and then why you decided this was kind of a great fit for you.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, Kurt. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here and chatting with you. I have been in the senior industry for a while. Growing up in South America, we have a different value with our elders. It's a little bit different, the amount of care that we provide for them. So over here it's a little bit different than that. I started volunteering with the different organizations. With hospice and assisted living communities and other organizations that provide care and help for seniors. And so that was always my passion. So I was fortunate enough that a few years back, I was able to make a career transition and started working in the senior living industry. I worked in assisted living communities as a director and marketing. And I now joined Sage Life, which is a parent company to Ovation at Riverwalk. They have been in the senior living industry since 1989. They have other assisted living communities and nursing homes. However, this Ovation at Riverwalk is a little bit different. This is a 55 active adult community. So what we provide is a resort style living for folks that are looking for something better as they age.
Okay, so yeah, you talked about a lot there. So I know things have changed a lot since 1989 in senior living. And I know when I have conversations with people, are kind of starting to approach or thinking about planning for their senior living, so to speak, once they decide maybe it's time to leave the house or the townhouse, and maybe whether or not they want extra help, or maybe they just want to travel. There's lots of reasons people leave the house with the big yard and things like that. The kids aged out, and all kinds of reasons. But sometimes people don't really understand what's available, because I know that 20, 30 years ago, it was a very different scenario. Sometimes these things are actually kind of nice, right? They're nicer than what maybe they were used to. I know the story of my father was he lived in a house, and he wasn't retiring. It was just a life change many years ago. He had a nice house with an acre of land and loved going out and taking care of the yard and things like that. And he was like, "I'm never moving out of here. I like my yard. I like all this land." And so he eventually moved into a townhouse with a little bit of reservation. But once he kind of got used to it, he liked it. he liked the fact that he didn't have to go out constantly maintaining the yard because it's work, right? I mean, it's gorgeous, property, but it is a lot of work. And so when you start freeing up your time, then there's other things you can do, other activities that you might like to do. So can you tell us a little bit about like how, because these places are not, they're very nice, right? They're not kind of putting yourself into some of these kind of clinical situations where, Nurse Ratchet's coming in to take care of you, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So you're right. Things have changed quite a bit, and people don't realize that. But it does come a time when you just get tired of the maintenance, the cost of maintenance, and worrying about these big houses. So there's a time for everything in life, and as some folks are in the process of buying new homes and bigger homes, and they're dealing with all that goes along with the big house, but time comes when you just don't need to do that anymore, or you're looking for a better lifestyle. So what these 55 and active adult communities are doing now, they're providing this resort style living where they provide absolutely everything that you can possibly need in a one community environment. So, you're no longer having to worry about maintaining your lawn. Somebody's doing that for you, right? So you got beautiful grounds being maintained by someone else. You have a park-like setting. You can walk. As a matter of fact, you even have space where you can do your own planting outside. So these communities do provide that. But you don't have to maintain it. Somebody else is going out there picking the weeds, making sure it's all, maintained and it looks great. So you don't have to worry about the roof anymore. You don't have to worry about painting. You don't have to worry about changing a light bulb. I mean, communities like this, they can even do that for you.
I think sometimes people think of adult, like you mentioned the term active adult communities. So how is that different? Like from some of the terms you hear is like assisted living and things like that. Long-term care facility and nursing home facilities. This is much different than that, right? So I know many people might, especially like, I know financial planners that have moved into these places because of the benefits of it. You want to kind of explain how that's different than what sometimes people perceive as some of these other communities that are out there?
Yes, of course. So because, the key word here is active adult community. So really this is an age restricted community. That's, just like when you're going on vacation and you're looking for an adult only community because you don't want to see, playgrounds and children, running around or hanging out at the pool. You're looking for a place that really is geared towards adults and the lifestyle that adults are looking for. So this is completely different. Assisted living is down the line, right? It's for folks that need, assistance with personal care or medical assistance. This is not that. This is a beautiful modern apartment. You're living in a beautiful resort style ground landscaping, where everything is taken care of for you. So what you're doing is you're just downsizing from that big house. You now no longer have to take care of that, but you can travel, you can do other things. So you're still active enough, you're still working, adults, just like you said, just like you and I, we're still working, we're very active. But when we come home, we don't want to worry about who do we have to call tomorrow? Is the electrician coming? Is the plumber coming? Because after you've been in a house for 20, 30 years, that's, that stuff starts going and it becomes cumbersome to have to worry about all the repairs and waiting for people and they don't show up or they don't do the right thing. So yeah, this is a totally different thing from assisted living. This is folks that are still moving around, traveling, enjoying life, but don't want to worry about the real estate property that they have to carry. So yeah, it's just different altogether.
No, absolutely. That's fantastic. So I know, well, some of the questions that I think would come up in my family, at least, like, okay, well, there's restrictions on what I can have, like, or are there different communities for these things? Like, let's say I have a pet, right? Maybe I have a cat or a dog or something like that. What if I want my granddaughter to come visit me for the weekend? I mean, is it, because sometimes people get worried about, well, okay, it says 55 or older. That means nobody can ever come on the property that's not 55 or older?
Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not that. First, we are grandchildren friendly. We are pet friendly.
Okay.
So it's just for the folks that are living in the building. We do have age restriction for second occupant. So no one under the age of 19 would be able to live here long term. But you can have guests. They can come. They can, visit. They can stay overnight. That's not a restriction at all.
Mhm.
It's just for the people that actually live in the building. There is a restriction. There's an age restriction on that.
No, I'm glad you clarified, because some people don't understand that that there is a lot of flexibility. It's mainly the residents, right? And sometimes, like, you'll have, a couple that's married, right? One might be, 58 and the other one might be 48. So
Right.
that's okay, right? Because
That is okay as
you
long
have
as
a couple
one.
that as long as one of you is of age, correct? That's my understanding is how it works, right?
That is correct.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
wow. That's fantastic. I want to talk a little bit more about the specifics of your community and how it kind of works. I know it's a little bit different. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Master Your Finances. We're going to be right back.
This is Master Your Finances with Kurt Baker, Certified Financial Planner Professional. Learn about tax efficiency, liability, owning, managing, and saving your money, and more from Kurt and his experienced panel of guests. Master Your Finances is underwritten by Certified Wealth Management and Investment.
Welcome back. You're listening to Master Your Finances. I am Kurt Baker here with Daisy Newson, who is the Director of Community Relations at Ovation at Riverwalk, excuse me. And we've been talking, a little bit about, your background and why people decide to move into an active living community. And these are people who are, as the term implies, active. Maybe they don't necessarily want to, be confined to the home. They may be travel. I know people that live in multiple locations, like they might have a house in New Jersey. They might go down to Florida. They might go on a cruise ship for a while. They just want to be able to move around and enjoy life. And this is one of the things as a planner we talk about a lot. Is it's great to plan and save, but you have to enjoy life. There's a reason you did all of this, and do these things while you're still able to do them and enjoy it and build up those memories. So, and unfortunately, someday you may not be able to do quite as much. You always want to balance the two. And I think that's important. And I think this actually is a nice step. One of the things I think is very interesting about your owner, she started back in 1989, you said, right? She's built a number of these communities already, but they were a little bit different. This is kind of a new version of what she's been doing. Can you tell us a little bit about what she'd done in the past and why she decided to do this particular structure? What demands was she seeing, and why did she decide to do it right here in the middle of New Jersey, in central New Jersey?
Absolutely. So our president's name is Kelly Ann. She has been in assisted living for a while, working in assisted living for a while, and then she decided to get her own building in the late 80s. The transition from the 80s to now, the truth is that we're aging a little older, right? So folks are more active. Years ago when someone said, they were 50 years old, they would say, wow, that's pretty old. But now, really, it's later in life, right? 80 is really when you start aging out. But it doesn't mean that you want to stay tied up to a real estate property forever and be committed to that home. So as you said, there are a lot of folks that have houses in multiple places. And the best way to do that is by renting, because when you're absent for a while from your home, someone else is watching. So that takes that headache away from the travel, not having to worry about your house that you left behind, or your plants, or whatever it is that you left in your house. So yes, studies have shown that folks are looking for a better, easier lifestyle. What we call it is an elevated lifestyle here at Ovation. So what we provide is that elevated lifestyle. So we're taking care of everything for these folks that want to enjoy life and don't want to be tied down for anything. Another important point is when someone's been in a house for 20, 30 years, when now you have an opportunity to move somewhere, how do you know where do you want to be? It is overwhelming, the amount of places that you can go. I know that I started looking myself this year, and it's like, wow, where do I want to live? So, if you sell your home and you're going to jump right into buying another one, that's another commitment. If you're going to rent for a while, at least it gives you an opportunity to see where you want to be if you like it, what's good for you at that point and that stage in your life. So that's what the 55 active adult communities do for you. They allow you to experience a different lifestyle, completely different. This is it's living in a resort, like being on vacation all the time. So how nice it is to come home and feel like you're still on vacation after you travel. It's awesome. Um, but that's the difference. So what Kelly has done, she has done a lot of studies with our investors, and they have figured out that these 55 active adult communities are the most popular option right now for folks. It's a great market to sell your home. Where are you going to go next? So many choices out there. Why not rent something for a while, enjoy the lifestyle, travel a bit, and if anything comes up with your health or your family, you're not tied to a property, you're not committed to selling again, you can just move again if that's what's in the cards for you next. So those are the benefits with the 55 active communities, and why now you see that they're coming up, and the popularity has grown.
So I noticed you said that they're going to be renting them, right, as opposed to buying them. So they have to do a cost benefit analysis, right? So if I have a home, and in central New Jersey, I know most of these homes are fairly expensive. At this age, most adults have probably paid them off. So there's either a lot of equity or it's all equity at that point. So they have the cash, right, in theory. So I guess what you're doing is an analysis of taking that lump sum amount of money and saying, hey, if I'm developing a certain amount of cash flow from that money that I receive from the sale of my home, then I can pay the monthly expense. And I guess what you're saying is, are there different terms? As an example, you mentioned living in multiple locations. So if I'm going to be in New Jersey for 6 months and maybe in Florida for 6 months, does that mean I can come here and say, oh, I'm going to rent for 6 months and then I'm going to go down there for 6 months? Is that the type of thing you can do?
Yes, you actually can do that. For the majority of the residents that we have, so we're still in construction. We're not open yet. So we open in January. The folks that are coming to us have homes in Florida. I have one in Colorado. I have one in Vegas. So they have signed year leases. But the beauty about us is that we actually give a break on the rent for folks when they're not in their apartments. So most communities don't do that, right? So when you sign a lease, you're committed to that monthly rental. There's no break on that. For us, we do give a break when the folks aren't there. So you do get a discount. Can we do shorter leases? We can absolutely do shorter leases. We can do 6 months. We have been actually working with some national housing, where if we have professionals coming into the area, they will look for us and they will live with us for 6 to a year. So we do allow that. But you know what? Some people like that, to have a footprint in Princeton after selling their homes in Princeton or Central Jersey, because we're very centrally located to the highways and access. But it's nice to have a hold here still, so they are looking to keep their homes here. So they, signing a year lease is not an obstacle for anyone here.
Oh, and I agree with that. I have a number of clients, they're retired, they want to move to another state, but they still have a lot of family, they still have a lot of friends, there's still a lot of connections to the area, or frankly, they just like it, right? They may just want to spend some time away, and they're like, I like to have the flexibility. Maybe when it's winter and it's snowing, maybe I want to go to Florida for a couple months.
Right.
When it's nice, I want to come back up to New Jersey when it's 97 degrees in Florida, right? So they want to have the options to be able to move around a little bit. And still stay connected to their roots, which many of them have lived here for decades before they move on. So I do see a lot of that, and this is, I guess, another option, because they'll typically buy maybe a small apartment or a condo one place, and another, they'll have one that's the primary, so to speak, and the other one's the one that they tend to visit. And but this is another option, right? So they could have two locations without having to spend the cash, right? Without having to pay for the entire amount. So that's just a different analysis they can do. And I think what's interesting from what you were saying is that there's other amenities available too. So can you describe how that's different than, let's just say I got a condo down the street, which is what some people do. They have a condo and that's it. But if I go here, can you talk a little bit about how that's different as far as what's available once I'm on site and what you got? Because I know I went to one of your open house things the other day, and you had this gourmet cook come out and feed us some stuff that was really, really good. And my family was happy. I brought home a few cookies and stuff too.
That's good. That's good.
So they liked it all too, by the way. So I may have to keep my wife here for about a couple more years. but anyway, so the food was a big hot item for me. But yeah, can you tell us just a little bit how it's a little different than just owning a condo down the street?
Yes, of course. So the amenities that are included with the 55 active adult resort style living, and the reason why we call it resort style is because it truly is, all the services are provided. So besides like the normal activities like the pool, which is an indoor outdoor pool, so it can be used year round. Here in New Jersey where summer is a little shorter, we have the gym, the spa, the yoga room, the library, the theater. We have a sim room where you can play golf or tennis anytime you want. So you can have breakfast and just walk over and play around. So those are the amenities, some of the amenities that we have. Also, what makes us different is that we do have the 3 restaurants on site, a piano bar, and a coffee house. So as you mentioned, our gourmet culinary experience is one of the highlights of our restaurant. So we are proud to offer that to all the residents. So people that live here at Ovation at Riverwalk will have, these 3 restaurants that they can dine in if they want to. If not, they can go, anywhere locally and enjoy other great restaurants that we have in Princeton. But we will have exceptional culinary experiences here at our restaurants, and we will also have classes. So our chef can also teach a class and demonstrate some of the culinary experiences. So that's something that's part of our lifestyle.
Well, that's fantastic. We're gonna talk a little bit more about what's going on there and how you integrate with the community. We take a quick break. You're listening to Master Your Finances. We'll be right back.
This is Master Your Finances with Kurt Baker, Certified Financial Planner Professional. Learn about tax efficiency, liability, owning, managing, and saving your money, and more from Kurt and his experienced panel of guests. Master Your Finances is underwritten by Certified Wealth Management and Investment.
Welcome back. You're listening to Master Your Finances. I'm Kurt Baker here with Daisy Newson, the Director of Community Relations at Ovation at Riverwalk. And you guys have got a really cool place over there. I had the pleasure of visiting you. I know you're still in the construction phase. It's an enormous complex. I know that. I don't know. Maybe you can tell us how many units are there, but you had a gourmet cook. We were outside socially distancing and enjoying some great food. And it's kind of amazing. And we were talking a little bit about some of the activities you have. I guess you have a pool, and you have a gym, and you have all kinds. You have 3 really nice restaurants, and I can attest that the food will be exceptional as long as you keep her employed. Whoever, I don't remember her name, but just keep her on. She did a great job, and so it's this is something where you at least typically it's a year at a time, and it sounds like if I'm going to be down in Florida for a period of time, and I'm going to guess that's because I'm no longer using all the amenities, you can get a little bit lower cost structure when you're not actually residing in the community, because of course, when I'm there, I'm going to be using the services. So that's going to cost everybody a little bit of money, right? Which is nice. So you have that flexibility, and you're opening in January, which is cool. So this is really kind of a higher end place. And frankly, I'm not aware of another one around that's similar to what you guys are setting up, right? This seems to be like raising the bar just a little bit higher than anything I've been exposed to locally. Is that a correct analysis?
That is very correct. We are very unique to New Jersey. Usually you see resort style living in places, the West Coast, you see a lot of that. You see a lot in Florida, but up here in the Northeast, you don't quite find places like us that offer all the amenities and the lifestyle that we're offering. So we are very different.
So who do you see as your typical person that's walking through the door, saying that they're kind of interested? Because of course, as a planner, we, whenever we're doing something, you kind of analyze it based on those circumstances and things that might fit, right? So what is kind of your, and it might be multiple typical clients, but clients that are coming in and saying, hey, I think this might work for my particular situation. So can you give us some ideas of the different types of individuals or couples or things like that might be coming in and saying, hey, I think this kind of works for what I'm trying to do, what I envision?
Right. Right. Our clientele right now that we have seen that have approached us for deposits, so that's what we're doing right now. We're taking deposits for when we open in January. So we're reserving apartments right now. But the typical client that walks through the door is tired of paying the taxes, real estate taxes, tired of taking care of maintaining a home. They're looking for an easier lifestyle, so they're looking to still live in a beautiful location, still have they still have friends and family here right in Central Jersey, so they want to stay put in this area. However, they want to travel, so this allows them to have a place here that they don't have to worry about it when they do lock up and travel, and a place somewhere else if they want to do that. So it's the flexibility of not having to worry about your home. So the moment you leave, there's 24/7 services here in the building. We have a concierge service 24/7. We have porter. We have maintenance. We provide housekeeping, so we'll come and clean your apartment, which is awesome. So you never have to worry about a thing. So, traveling becomes a lot more enjoyable, I think, when you don't have to worry about your house. I know that I've done some traveling, and when I came home, unfortunately, I had a flood. So I walked right into the flood.
No.
There was nobody to watch.
That's a very unpleasant thing to come home to.
Very unpleasant.
Like, honey, let's go back on vacation. This is not good.
Exactly. So it's small details that you don't really, when you're living in a home, obviously you just do what you have to do. That is your lifestyle. But it comes a time when, especially right now during COVID, I think we all realize that it's time to enjoy life. So many things can be taken away from us so quickly, and it's time to do some traveling and enjoying when that is okay again. But enjoy your time.
Yeah, you brought up a couple of great points. I mean, I think a lot of us, especially with COVID, I think a lot of people reanalyze just their whole perspective on everything. Just you've had time to think about it, right? And you've been kind of forced to think about it to some degree. And I know that we've been hearing about this for a little while, is the younger generation has been more tilted towards life experiences over housing and over material items and things like that. So we've been hearing that a lot. And I know that's true of the young people that I know, including my daughter. She's not really, they don't care, right? It's it's just not that important. And I got to hand it to them. That's a great thing. And I think a lot of us as we're getting older, realize that, hey, it's about enjoying it and developing experiences and relationships. And it's all about what you're doing with your life, not what you're, quote, accumulating and putting in your basement. Right. So, and I think so I think this is part of that. And you mentioned the apartments, I guess. So it allows people to open up, and you mentioned the apartment, you're leasing the apartments out now. So there are different types of units that you're having available. I guess if you could just explain that to me a little bit, as far as what the availability might be.
Yeah, so this building has 260 units. We are 5 floors, and we have an indoor parking garage. So everyone parks inside the garage, temperature controlled. The units come in different sizes. So, we have studios, we have 1-bedroom apartments and 2-bedroom apartments. So different floor plans for the amount of rooms. Every apartment is beautifully decorated. It has all stainless steel appliances, full washer and dryer in all the apartments. So really is up to the resident to decide what size is comfortable for them, especially if they're coming from a larger home. Some folks are okay with just getting rid of all these things they accumulated over the years, and some are still, very attached to their belongings, to their collections sometimes. But it's funny. There is something to be learned about the millennials. How they enjoy life and the experiences, and they're not so worried about collecting the china and the crystal and the big house and all of that. They truly are enjoying life. Um, it's something to be learned for us. We should be doing that right? Because now that everything is taken away from us, now we see how important all that was. This is the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's a great time to have some of these conversations that a lot of us, as we get older, and you bring up the China, and I know I've talked about this a number of times, is that many people don't realize that all these family heirlooms that many of us have in our homes, our children have no interest whatsoever in these things. So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to sell them or give them away. And that, to me, would be better that if you really care about these items, maybe if you donate them to a museum if they're that nice, or maybe you give them to somebody who actually wants them, or you know what I mean? So there's lots of things you could do with them, or at least transition them to wherever you want to, and you do it instead of having your children have to deal with it, and they really don't want to. For them, it's going to be more of a burden than a gift. And so having those conversations about what they actually want to receive, I think it would make the downsizing out of the home easier. And the other thing I hear over and over again is when people downsize, and that happened to my father. We moved from this big house with a lot of chores to do, so to speak. And when you're forced to move into a smaller area, you have to start making those decisions. But when you actually kind of divest yourself of these material items, it's a stress reliever. People don't realize that the items, you don't really own items, they kind of own you. It's kind of a two-way street, right? So you have to take care of them, right? No matter what it is, even if it's a book, you're going to have to dust it off every once in a while. So you have to just measure what's really important to you. And I think these processes where you transition from work life and then saying, I want to be active, enjoy it, go visit my grandchildren, whatever the case may be, that is very therapeutic for people to really allow themselves the freedom to enjoy what they've accumulated, right? And I think that things like this help with that process, because now you're focused more on like doing things and sharing and spending time with people you care about, as opposed to maintaining a large residence that really, if you're honest, it's not getting used the way it was when you probably bought it, and you were going to fill it up with lots of kids or do things with it, right? It's probably not being used the way you thought.
Because things change, right? Times change.
Absolutely.
And you're right. Our kids really don't want our things. They're important to us.
Yeah.
So then you're holding on to, the big house, and you're holding on to all the things that you have and the storage. And the truth is, it's liberating to downsize. You don't have to worry so much about all that stuff that you're carrying around with you. I think downsizing is hard for some folks in the beginning, but as we know, we get used to everything, and once you start really, doing other things that are more important to you, like spending time with your family, traveling, or other experiences, whenever the theater opens up and all that good stuff reopens, it gives you that opportunity to do all these things. All those boxes that you're storing in your basement aren't so important.
Yeah, it's a little scary when you start going through them. You're like, why do I still have this? I mean, in some cases, right? I buried that down there 10 years ago. I didn't realize I still had this. Why do I even have it? No, excellent, excellent, excellent. So we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Master Your Finances. We'll be right back.
This is Master Your Finances with Kurt Baker, Certified Financial Planner Professional. Learn about tax efficiency, liability, owning, managing, and saving your money, and more from Kurt and his experienced panel of guests. Master Your Finances is underwritten by Certified Wealth Management and Investment.
Welcome back. You're listening to Master Your Finances. I am Kurt Baker here with Daisy Newson, of the Director of Community Relations at Ovation at Riverwalk. And, this is really interesting to me because, a lot of the clients I deal with were getting up in age, and this is part of the planning process to decide what we do when we get older, including myself and I've seen it in my own family, is a lot of us really, if we are honest, would rather be doing things with our time instead of just maintaining, even if it's a nice residence, a large residence. It just isn't really what most of us want to spend our time doing. I mean, there are exceptions, of course. But one of the hard things to do, of course, is to divest and then transition into something like this. But I think without exception, I don't know of anybody who has really regretted it once they've gone through the process. A lot of us have the fear of it's a lot of work to divest and to either sell or give away. In fact, they have shows on TV that help us learn how to declutter and things like that, right? So that's really what it is. We accumulate this over decades, and now you have to kind of reverse that process. But it can be done, and sometimes people hire professionals, which kind of help you do it in a day or two, and you're done, and that works too. But I think the lifestyle change, from everybody I've known that's done it, has found it to be very positive. I just want to touch a little bit on this past year has been very interesting because you've been operating a business. And I know that this started before the pandemic hit, because I remember you're just down the street from where I live. And I remember it's one of these places where you go, oh, wow, they're building something really nice there. I wonder what that is. So, and then, of course, Daisy gets hired there to sell it. So then I found out very quickly what it was, but it's really great. And, but then the pandemic hit. So kind of tell us like what was going on beforehand, when it hit, what happened, in that March period where we thought it was going to be like a 2-week interrupt and then we were going to be back to normal. And then what the process was through this and how it affected you and the clients that you might be talking to as far as the planning, right? Because it's hard to plan when there was this big question mark after a while. By April, May, none of us really knew what was going to happen.
Right.
And so what are your thoughts about that? So how did that all go for you guys?
COVID was a big surprise for everyone, and living through the pandemic was obviously something that no one had ever experienced before. So yes, as you mentioned, we were in marketing mode when we first met back in January, and a lot had changed. So in the beginning, when COVID first affected everyone, our construction site fortunately did not stop. However, there was a slowdown. So that was it just couldn't be helped, right? So a lot of workforces, we had less workers. We continued to push and to construct, but however, with less hands-on, let's just say, it has caused a delay. So we had originally anticipated an opening for this winter, and now we have to, push our opening for January. So that is when we're hoping to open the building. And it's more than the workforce. It's also permits that come into play. You're working with local town officials. There is less people working there also. I mean, it has affected every angle and every department. So in order to be fair, for the people that are looking to live with us, because they're coming to live with us for a lifestyle. So in order to make sure that our restaurants are up and operating, we had to put another delay in our opening. So it's unfortunate, but our residents that have deposited and are waiting and are very anxious to move in do understand that. For new people that came in during COVID that were looking to move, yes, it was nobody knew where it was going to go. Nobody knew what was going to happen. So there was a delay and there was a slowdown on amount of people that were looking to move in making that transition in lifestyle. But I think, as we learned, wow, from the beginning of the year, I can't believe it's the end of the year already. It's been a long year. things have changed, right? So now we're looking for safety procedures to be put in place. Sanitizing is something that is very important for communities like Ovation at Riverwalk. So we have enough time now to put all these procedures into place, all these processes. So we are, in full gear. We know exactly what needs to be cleaned at what moment, what needs to be sanitized, and it's given us an opportunity to put all these plans into place.
So as far as the sales cycle, I know at one point, if I recall correctly, like real estate, you couldn't show a house there for a short period of time. And I
Right.
remember people buying houses sight unseen with the idea they were going to inspect it later. And then
That's
they ended
right.
up inspecting it. And that was like a contingency in the contract. Like, okay, I like your house. I'm going to buy it. But when I can get in, I'm going to go look at it. kind
Right.
of thing.
Right.
So
Crazy. Yeah.
how did that work with you guys? Because people want to come see the location and they want to, I'm going to buy something. At some point, I'm going to want to touch and feel it, right?
Right.
So how did that sales process, did it change at all when the pandemic came along? I mean, how were you telling people what you had to offer if they weren't allowed to come on site?
Yes, it has changed quite a bit. So what changed in marketing and sales was everything was being done remotely. So, taking your iPhone and walking through a property and showing the space is not uncommon anymore. So obviously we do that for a lot of people, especially out of state. Um, we are now currently doing in-person tours. Obviously, we only take one at a time, and all the safety procedure is in place. But virtual tours became the ideal for us. So we had drone videos being shot from above so people could see location, they could see what was nearby. For a lot of people, the train station is important, shopping is important. So the drone showed all of that. So then it was the drone video, it was the virtual video, it was me walking through the property with an iPhone, just shooting videos all over. And we've posted a lot of those on social media. So that was the only way that folks could come in and take a look. So it did affect a lot of people, obviously, because some people really have to feel the product. They want to walk through it themselves. But we have seen an uptick in in-person tours lately. So that has changed recently.
And so I know another aspect is we noticed this just in operating a number of things. When you try to get people together, do you have people hesitant to say, "Hey, look, I'm interested, but once everything's kind of resolved, quote unquote, whatever that means as far as the pandemic goes, then maybe we'll go ahead and move it." Because I know some people are very concerned about going out, even though we have all these great tools. Some of my clients still want to meet remotely. Some are, willing to visit in person. But there are a certain segment that are going to be very, very reserved in any kind of outside activity because of health reasons or other reasons, whatever the case may be, until this is kind of fully resolved. So, are you seeing a little bit of that too? Where, yeah, I'm interested, but let me just kind of hold off until I kind of see how this plays out in the next few months. Hopefully, we're gonna be out of this soon. Who knows? But
Right.
hopefully,
Who knows? Who knows at this point?
right,
Yeah, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because I think I have two groups of individuals. I have the people that are still working and now are back in the office. So they're already out and about. So it's
right.
not just coming here. They already are, back to their almost normal routine. There's no more new normal, but almost. And then I do have the people that still don't want to come out. They're still reserved. Um, and afraid to come out in public or restaurants. So it's not just coming to Ovation or Riverwalk for a tour; it's going anywhere. So for those people, the virtual tours are still key. But like I said, the in-person tours have I've seen better traffic with that because for the target audience that a 55 active adult community is perfect for, ideal for, those folks are already out. They're hoping that the life goes back to normal soon, and they're trying to act as normal as possible at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been seeing, just in general. Even because we try to go out, because we're trying to support the restaurants as much as we can in places like that we know have been hit very hard. So we're
Right.
going out as much as we can, and I think we've noticed that it seems like people are very, very slowly feeling a little bit more comfortable with the protocols that are being put in place, and they have a little more confidence because they're talking to other people that have gone out wearing a mask and gone to a restaurant and sanitized and social distance. And so I think we're starting to get comfortable with doing this in a safe way. All right, that's kind of what I'm seeing, right? Are you
Yeah,
seeing something
definitely.
similar?
Yes, definitely. We're definitely seeing a change. It's slow, but there
Right.
is a change.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's everything revolves around the news. So the moment we hear something negative on the news, of course, we
Right.
see that people won't come out. But you're right. There's a lot of people going out. I'm trying to support the local business myself. As any opportunity I get, I do go to a restaurant because I think it's the fair things to support. The folks that are struggling and trying to stay in business during this hard time.
Right. Right. So Daisy, it's been wonderful having you. Any last thoughts before we wrap up here in a minute?
No, I invite everyone to come out and visit with us. We are, a beautiful community. We're truly unique, and I would love to have anybody visit.
Yeah. And you're at Ovation with no S at riverwalk.com, right?
Correct. And
Okay.
I am located at 1 Riverwalk in Plainsboro, New Jersey.
Okay. Well, thank you, Daisy. It's amazing. I've been out there. It's a gorgeous structure. I know you're not quite done, but I can tell by what you've done so far. It's absolutely beautiful. You've been listening to Master Your Finance. You can subscribe to this podcast and all the podcasts that we have by going to masteryourfinances.us. Remember, together we can master your finances so you can enjoy financial peace of mind.
That was this week's episode of Master Your Finances with Kurt Baker, Certified Financial Planner Professional. Tune in every Sunday at 9 a.m. to expand your knowledge in building and managing your wealth. Missed an episode? No worries. You can subscribe to a free weekly episode of Master Your Finances to listen to on your favorite podcasting platform. Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever. Master Your Finances is underwritten by Certified Wealth Management and Investment. Only on 1077 The Bronx.